Hello, and welcome to the video knowledge-based presentation for preparing the AP PO entities for transaction restore. My name is Scott Hayes. So what we'll be talking about is what makes the AP PO entities different, what's the problem, of course, what's the solution, and I'll be demonstrating on this change. The AP PO transactions have a many-to-many relationship with different items. As you can see, the PO can be related to multiple invoices, which in turn can be related to shared or multiple checks, for example. So if you're going to restore PO3, for example, it has a transaction chain to PO4, to invoice 3, invoice 4, check 2, check 3, and check 4, even though they may not be directly related to each other. So what's the problem? During an archive, the candidate generation process will loop through all these transactions looking for the chains. But during the restore process, by default, it won't do this. If a transaction restore is done, then it might leave orphans of the transaction that are chained to the original transaction. So if we went back to that original example, it may not restore all of the POs. And we want to make sure that we get those. So what is the solution? An API was created specifically to handle the AP PO transaction chains during restores. But currently we have to manually add this API to the entity itself. So let's look at that now. So I've already opened up the EDM tool and I've already made a copy of the original PO matched PO entity. And that's what we're going to edit right now. So I click on the copy of PO, matched POs, and I click on the Steps tab. And what I'm going to look for is the end of the candidate generation process in these steps. So I can tell anytime it's talking about interims, these are all candidate generation steps. And we can see here this step 86 is the first step for the archive tables. So step 85 is the last one for the interim or the candidate generation step. So I'm going to highlight this one and I'm going to click on the plus, and that'll add another step afterwards. And the action that we're going to choose here is the run procedure in generate candidates. The interim table is actually irrelevant since the API will determine the correct interim based on the type of restore that's being done. The entity table can be left blank. And the procedure itself is the actual API, the API. That's the AA util package APPO underscore transaction underscore chain. And then we just make sure that this step is enabled. And then we can save it. During a regular archive, this code will return immediately without doing anything, as it will know that it's not a restore. But during the restore, it will look to see what's already been populated in the interim table by the standard steps ahead of it. And then it will build the transaction chains based on what data is already in the interim tables. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Thank you very much.